Welcome, winners, to the Wrong Button podcast, where we talk all things nerd and most things video games. Today, I am joined by the lovely Mrs. Play again.
Hello, everyone. Great to be
And
back.
It's great to have you here. Today, it's gonna be a little bit different. We're gonna talk about we bought a house.
Our most significant acquisition to date.
Yeah. We did probably the second most adultiest thing we could do aside from getting married.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like have kids or something.
Oh no, we're not doing
Okay,
that.
we're not doing.
Yeah, we're not
that.
doing
No,
that.
We're going to skip that chapter.
Yeah, we're skipping it. We're not even going down that arc. That is
No.
a filler
Okay.
arc that I don't want to be a part of.
That's okay. Okay.
Kids are great, just not for us. But no, you and I bought a house.
We did.
There
was a lot of paperwork.
was a lot of paperwork. Everyone.
And we bought a house in 2021.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a month ago.
We contended. Yeah, we contended with the market. That was the 2021 housing market.
It's gotten better, I hear.
Ish. Yeah. The houses are staying on the market for like 10 days instead of 1 day.
Or less than 6 hours in our case.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were. This is going to be a lot of like mental positivity, a mental health cast for us, and we're going to talk a little bit about buying a house, kind of what led us here, because Mrs. Play, you are very into
And FI, for people who don't know.
is financial independence,
Yes.
or FIRE sometimes, as the youth I hear call it, financial independence, retire early.
Yeah, that's the acronym.
It's lit.
I'm really only interested in the first two letters, which is the financial independence part.
Yeah, so buying a house for you and I, to make sure that all needs were met, was a lot of growth.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure all needs were met, and then
Yeah.
also like learning more about each other and our needs, as like
individuals and as a couple. Yeah.
yeah. So that's what I figured we would kind of talk about today and
Okay.
have a nice upbeat podcast. So we started looking for a house because I came to you one day and said we need space.
Yeah, it wasn't we need space. You said I need space. And okay. To have your husband say I need space, and I'm like, from me physically, emotionally, mentally, are we getting a divorce? Is that how this starts? I still have to work for an extra 30 minutes. Like, what the fuck is happening? Yeah, you could have broached that. You're like, I need space. I'm like,
so
go for a walk? Question mark.
Yeah, let's go for. So we're gonna round that back a little bit. 2020 happened. You and I were both very fortunate to have jobs that allowed us to work from home.
Yes.
I work contact center for a subsidiary of a cell phone company, and you are an accountant.
Mm-hmm.
So with your clients, with the contract I was supporting, and like several promotions for both you and I, we were very fortunate to work from home, and both of us like. Your joke all throughout 2020 was, well, I've read all the books, I've done all the things, I guess I'll work on me now, and it's that was your joke.
Yeah. When the shutdown first happened in like 2020, it was like March when we were told like, hey, like you're working from home now. I was taking calculus.
Oh God, I remember that.
So yeah, I started calculus in January. Because I needed that for work. And that semester wrapped up end of April. But it was still like, hey, we're doing calculus and I'm meeting at a local community college, doing that in person too. Okay, you're doing this online now, and now you're working from home full time. I forgot where I was going with that. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay.
But it was just to set the scene for you guys. Like our rental where we had lived for like 5 years was like not even 600 square feet. It was probably 520 square feet of usable space. I call it a cottage. It's a little tiny, like little detached,
in-law
small house. Yeah, like I had a washer and dryer. I had a very small linen closet. Had a very small like closet for people. Really, you couldn't fit more than like 2 people in there. 1 bedroom, 1 bath.
Mm-hmm.
Small, functional for us.
Yes.
Like we didn't have a lot, so that worked well.
Because we moved in there when I was going to college.
Yeah, we did.
So like me going to college, it was walking distance from campus, so I saved a ton on gas. it was a short drive for you to hop across the bridge to go to work, which is under repair now. So like, but then lockdown happened, so
Yeah.
it was very suitable for where we were in life at that point in time.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, I remember my thought now.
what was your thought?
So my thought was like, you're saying, oh, guess I'll work on me now. I'm like, so I finished calculus. And then for the summer, I caught up with the rest of the board of like, we're going to bake. And I have like, my banana bread is like on point now.
Oh, God, yeah. Your banana bread is so good.
I make an excellent banana bread now.
It doesn't last a night.
But between, finished calculus, I did the banana bread. But, I mean, I can't cope with my feelings. So now we're going to drink a lot. But also, you're still working. So then I started therapy, and that was my joke. And I'm like, I did calculus, I made the banana bread, I drank a lot, I guess I'll work on me now. That was the joke. Therapy's going great, by the way.
I'm glad.
Sorry.
No, it's very helpful for a lot of people, so no reason to apologize for that. That's how it started. I got a real job. I have like big kid jobs now where it's like I work in an office and had to wear like
people cared how you looked.
Oh my God, I hate that shit.
Okay.
And then I got a better job now where it was more relaxed, but when work from home started, it was you and I at our kitchen table.
Yeah, there was no room for an office.
What really sparked this was like after like 7-8 months of it, it was we were offset schedules.
Mm-hmm. We always had to be quiet because one of us was working.
Oh yeah,
or still asleep.
Mm-hmm. And it was, or like one of us went. It was just like it wasn't fair to either of us, because like it meant like in the morning like it was like have headphones on. If you didn't have headphones on, that was it.
Yeah.
And both of us like music. Both of us don't mind.
Right. Can't watch TV loud because some person's on a phone call, someone's in a meeting constantly, and that was a serious adjustment. Because I'm like, how dare you tell me that I'm being too loud? I'm allowed to laugh. It's 2020. I'm allowed to watch comedy and laugh.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're being too loud. People can hear you.
Yeah, the person's yelling at me because you're laughing.
I'm going to come unglued.
Yeah.
Like, give me the phone. I will speak to them.
It was So yeah, and
bet your ass this is a recorded line.
So fast forward to we get through Christmas, and I remember going back to the office, and at the time my boss was like, "Hey, this back to the office thing that we're doing. When are we talking about it?" And my boss looks at me and goes, "That's a next year problem." And I was like, it was like December 28th or something. I was like, "Okay, so when?" Yeah, that's a next year problem. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's that
2022 problem.
Oh yeah, and so it was. I was like, I started going back to the office. I work in my office is completely empty. So
and it was better for you because like one of your biggest things I remember you just like struggling with was like I always see work. I come out of the bedroom, it's staring at me. These two big ass monitors taking up the long side of the dining room table, and it's on your phone because you have to have it on your personal device.
Slack, yeah.
Yeah, so there was no reprieve. And like you had to log in early, you were staying late for things, you're taking on like after work on the weekends, all that stuff. And so you just wanted the physical separation to like come home, and home is
safe.
Yeah, not work.
So I said to you one day, I was like, we need space because my passion is this channel. The podcast is something like you turned me on to podcasts. We were listening to Tim Ferriss, and we listened to the Tim Ferriss Shaun White together, and then I found like his Tony Hawk one, and so for me it became listening to like interviews, talk podcasts. I went from like that to the Super Best Friends Play. I'll listen to the Minimalist, Neebs Gaming, and I've started branching out to like a lot of different ones like you have. You'll see like Brene Brown.
I love Brene Brown, Glennon
Doyle. Minimalist for me, and then if I see someone like really cool is being interviewed, and then another thing that you and I watched together was My Next Guest Needs No Introduction, which also really like sparked this this whole like endeavor, because like when I was working on the channel, that was everything was like scheduled. I would be like, hey, Nick's coming over on Thursday. You would go to a friend's house and work in their office.
Yeah, because the two of you would be talking, and I would still I can't concentrate.
Yeah.
Also, I have meetings.
Yeah, and so you were very kind to give us that space.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was like, hey, I want to stream, it was like, hey, once again, if you didn't want to be part of it, because you were like, hey, look, I can't today.
Yeah, or this is not a game that I'm even remotely interested in.
Yeah, and which it's that's the joy of this, of the channels. We don't always have to be doing this. Playing the same thing. If you're like, hey, I'm not into it, or Nick's not into it. But yeah, and it was for both of us, or if you were,
I'd have to leave the house. I'm like, and then you're like, I'm kicking you out. I'm like, you're not kicking me out. I'm running away.
But I came.
You can't fire me. I quit.
I have totally done that before. That is a great goddamn feeling. Yeah. So I came to you last year. We said, all right, we'll start looking at the end of end of 2021. I think
we had been saving for a house, but I was imagining that would be something that we tried in 2022 23 time frame is what I was anticipating. But then the Fed dropped interest rates, and then the buying frenzy went super duper crazy, and prices skyrocketed and continue to skyrocket. And every month I get the Zillow reports of oh, this area that you're looking at it is 8% higher than it was this time last year, 10% higher, 15% higher. And I'm like, I just wanted anxiety vomit. How are we supposed to afford this? And our lease isn't even up, and you want to look at houses, and home buying to me is just a money pit. I really enjoyed oh no, this is broken and not working. Hey landlord, hey property manager, you come fix this.
6 calls later. Sometimes
they were more responsive in some things than in other things, but I enjoyed not having the liability and paying such a little amount. I think where we were renting, it was undervalued for the area.
Oh god, yeah, we were perspective guys. We were paying under $1,000 for us and 2 cats in a prime.
We were paying less than $900 for us and 2 cats.
Yeah, prime downtown location. Couldn't really shake a stick at it.
Yeah, considering everything else was $1,200 or more, and if we went to rentals in our area, a 1-bedroom starting right now is $1,300 to $1,600, and 2 bedrooms are $1,800. I'm and so yeah, when you first said we need space, and even if we're just moving for a year, and then we'll look at buying a house, I'm like, okay, so you want us to break our lease early, and then put down a deposit, and turn off these utilities, and start those utilities, and since those are new accounts, that costs money, and transfer these things. Put a dollar value for this. Go do your market research, and then come back to me with your business plan. Because in the meantime, I'm not doing this for you. I'm still working for another 30 minutes. I was furious.
Yeah, it was.
And anxious. It was a lot of fear.
It was I remember that there were days where in the beginning I was gung ho about it, and then as we'll explain a little bit later, as we start getting outbid, I think the anxiety started to shift from you being anxious because no, we can do this. Here's because you map out, and you are I'm gonna say radical in your notations of finances. Yes, I mean that with the highest. I said
he means it as a compliment.
It is a very high compliment. When Mrs. Play, when we did our loan documents, you went back and developed an accountant. You developed a module in Excel to be okay, how do I make my numbers match up to their numbers? Just fact checking everything.
I'm checking their math.
Oh, yeah.
You do this for a living, but also so do I. How did you arrive at these numbers?
But yeah, so yeah, I came to you and I was I need space. And we started looking because you were very kind. You said, okay, we can start looking now. Or no.
And it wasn't even that I was very kind. It was we need to start doing this now, and I need to ease my way into it. It's like when you're at the pool in a hot summer day and your body's really hot, and you want to go into the pool, and it's gonna be really great and refreshing once you get in there, but you're walking in because you're full and you should just jump in, but it's scary and it's shocking to the system. So you prolong it by walking in step out of step
Mhm.
as it goes down the incline. You're like, oh my god, no! Now it's at my
And
belly
your
button,
body, like, starts
and
rising.
your back is arching, and you're like, no, and you're on your tippy toes because you don't want it to get any worse. That's how I felt about the home buying process.
Yeah, because there was one point where we had a rule because you and I go on walks.
Yes,
Lunch, I'd be like, hey, I'm going on lunch. Let's go for a walk, and we'd do
Mhm.
about a mile loop around where we were living.
a couple blocks, yeah.
And the rule was like no work,
No politics.
no politics, because he who shall not be named was in office, and
I had lots of thoughts.
oh, and for a while it was like we talked about the house on Saturday or buying a house on Saturdays,
Mm-hmm.
because it was overwhelming and I would get lost. And we could do this, and we could like have this and this kind of space, and like
And I was interpreting all of those dreams to like a want list, and like we're not going to be able to afford this. What's your plan? How are you going to swing this renovation? We're adding this thing,
it wasn't even like
but that was my interpretation.
okay.
Like that, and that's how one of the reasons. And I'm like, oh great, now I have to make these things happen for him in order for him to be happy because I agreed to this. And I would feel stressed out and demoralized, and it would be a lot of information, and I'd get overwhelmed and I would shut down. So one day a week.
Yep, we
Start
regulate
small.
Saturdays, and then so that was probably about from like February to March, and then April I was like, hey,
No, even in March, like we were there were a couple other communities around us within like 30 minutes to an hour that would still like put you 30-40 minutes away from work. It'd still put me like hour and 15 from work, if I do have to return to the office, and if ever, and so we were at least exploring those, like, could we see ourselves living here? Do we like this neighborhood? Do we like the restaurants that are available? Do we like the gas prices? Do we like the traffic? Do we like the grocery stores? I need something more than just a Food Lion that only offers me iceberg lettuce. Like, I don't mean to be a diva, you guys, but we looked at one place and like, there's only one grocery store here. This home that we're looking at is not what it appeared or was described to be on Zillow. This felt like catfishing.
I think that was like my biggest wake up call of what did I get us into.
Yeah.
So to set the scene for you, we live just outside of like Richmond, and there is a community out in like Central Virginia.
Yeah.
And the community was Orange.
I wasn't going to name places.
I was going to name Orange.
Okay. Orange, Virginia.
It's a very lovely town.
Mm-hmm.
We did go there.
Mm-hmm.
But like living outside of Richmond, where you have to commute to for like work, and then where I have to commute to for work, where we were currently at, I am now 8 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
I was about 20 minutes, and then you were about an hour. I found a place. I was like, oh, this will be a great place. That's 45 minutes from where we currently live.
It would have been an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes each way for me to go into work.
And a little bit less from me.
Yeah, and those are like Northern Virginia commutes.
Yeah, and I think that was like my first point, because I got quiet for that. We went out for like friends for dinner afterwards, and I was like, I fucked us.
Is that what your thought was?
Oh my god, we were sitting in the car driving back. I was like, I think that was the start for me, where I was like, oh shit, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've asked Nicole this. Oh my god, I've put us in such a bad way. We met this realtor. We didn't like her.
No, she told me that she's like, I'm like your mom, and I'm like, that's not a good thing for you.
Things are not going in your favor right now. Yeah, so we drove back, and I think it was the first point where I was like, this is a lot, and I have no idea what we've gotten ourselves into.
It's a lot of unknowns and not a lot of new language and uncertainty, and we weren't even like pre-qualified for anything yet. So we're like, yeah, I think that we can afford this, but I need a lender to tell me, yes, you can afford this. We didn't even have a realtor yet. We're just kind of looking, but like, I'm glad we started so soon.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the month of April rolled around, you're like, okay, time to get serious, because we knew that the market was still insane,
mm-hmm.
and that there were far more buyers than there were sellers, and that still gave us like 6 months until our lease was up. We're like, well, we have plenty of opportunities to try and fail. And to just get a better sense of what we wanted, because we weren't sure, like, hey, are we just going to like look at places on Saturdays or Fridays? What are we going to do?
That was a concern, was like, who's going to look at the house, because I was working Sundays.
Yeah, and what do we even need in a house?
Yeah. You actually had found a, because when we started getting serious about this time, you found a spreadsheet. Or you
I found an editable PDF where it was just kind of like, hey, if you and your spouse don't know what you want, you just kind of like check these boxes on like, how many bedrooms do you want? How many bathrooms? Do you need a garage? Do you need a basement? Do you need a screened-in porch? Do you want townhome condo? And it was these boxes, and then in each of the boxes there was like another set of columns for like, this is a want, a nice to have, an okay to have. I don't like, not applicable. Like I don't care one way or another. It's not important to me. And so you and I was initially going to like take it as an exercise. I'm like, you fill out yours, and I'll fill out mine, and then we'll compare. And he's like, or we can fill it out together and discuss while we make dinner. I'm like, you're right. I am hungry. I can always eat dinner.
Yeah. And it was, I thought we were a lot simpler than maybe, because like, but prior to this, like, we'll talk about real quick my exposure to like the home buying process. Like, my mom works for a high end, like, oh, you're a bougie motherfucker and you need a brick oven pizza out in your backyard because you can't go up the street and call Domino's.
I mean, these people also have like custom built 10,000 square foot houses.
Yeah,
like, that's like, I know you think that the bougie pizza oven in the backyard, but like, to set the scene more accurately, they're 10,000 square foot homes that are custom built
on the water.
On the water.
Not gonna lie though, if you ever wanted to surprise me with a bougie pizza oven in the backyard, I would not tear it down. That's never gonna happen. But
like,
I just
if you tore it down, I'm not gonna murder you, but you're gonna wish you were dead.
You might be in that pizza oven. You might be the mortar for it.
Oh my god.
Yes, and then after that, like, you and I would watch like Property Brothers occasionally, or
yeah. Well, I mean, it was 2020, and I needed escapism.
And so, like Love It or List, where it was just like, and we're doing this. I'm like, oh, a fixer upper. Can you take one of those on? And then you see this, and I'm just like staring at it, like, oh, if we don't buy new, we're gonna like be $400,000 in debt.
Yep. Obviously, we're gonna have to rewire and redo plumbing the entire house, and then we're gonna find termites, and then the foundation's cracked, and you have to rewire this thing because this is your only down drain.
Oh yeah.
In the wall here, and that's why we don't just go slamming into walls. Yeah. I mean, like, our initial like want list was like 2 to 3 bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a full-size refrigerator because where we were renting, the refrigerator was not a full-size refrigerator.
It's been 8 years since we had a full-size refrigerator.
The home was initially like a shed. The cottage was initially a shed, and the original owners, one of their children with special needs, and so they had things that were more like ADA compliant and just like a little bit lower. And like, I stand 5'8". That refrigerator might have been like 5'4", 5'2", with the freezer.
We could both clearly look up and go, oh, this needs to be cleaned.
Yeah, we're like, ugh, I see that. That's dust. That's dust and grease. I wanted a full-size refrigerator. I wanted an ice maker. I wanted 2 to 3 bedrooms. 1.5
bath at least.
Yeah, 1.5 bath at least.
For sad nights.
Yeah, and like, exactly. And I was assuming... Yeah, like, I was aiming for just like very manageable expectations. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, oh no, I need granite countertops or quartz countertops, and everything has to be matching.
Cherry wood, hardwood floors, like,
yeah, like, I know our budget. We can't. Yeah. That wasn't there, and I knew we'd have to get a townhome, or we'd have to be okay, at least for our area. If we got like a single family home, it would be 40, 60 years old in order to be in our budget.
So we did that, and then we started talking to friends, and they're like, well, actually, I have a great realtor. And you assigned me the task of like, you're going to go meet the realtor because you talk to people, and...
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't really want to be doing this, period. That was the end of the sentence. and this is your grand idea, so you do it.
So we had 2 realtors to call. I ended up calling and setting up one with a fantastic friend who had also just bought a house.
Yeah.
And her name, the realtor's name was Melissa with Nest Realty, Realty, to shout them out because, as you will hear throughout the rest of this, I have nothing but
The highest praise.
like so kind, incredibly. I almost want to say like from Babby's first house, like nurturing.
Yeah.
In regards to
like highly communicative, professional, timely responses, quality feedback and recommendations.
Mhm.
Let us speak, but like had thoughts when we're like, what do you think? Or are we on the right track? Nurturing is a good word.
Yeah, like
because it really was. It was like Babby's first house. Like I didn't go to the interviews, but I'm like, I sent you a list of fucking questions. I'm like, because I didn't. One of my worst fears because we didn't have like an extravagant budget was that we would just get blown off or
Yeah.
someone would take advantage of us like yeah, and as soon as we sign a contract to work with you, they'll blow us off.
Mhm.
And like I unfortunately plan for bad behavior because I have a lot of experience with bad behavior.
You're also an accountant. Your job is risk management.
And yeah, it was risk management. So sent you to meet with Melissa and another realtor, and Melissa answered all of your questions
Without
you
being
having
prompted.
to without being prompted. She was just kind of like, hi, this is me, this is how many clients I currently have, this is how many are like they're about to close, these are people who are like they're kind of looking but they're not super looking.
Because I'm sitting there like on my phone. I'm like, this isn't you. Like, my wife sent me a list. I'm just ticking them off as like as you're going down them because I haven't had to ask them yet. And I'm going through. I'm like, I have like one more, and I can't remember what it was that she didn't answer.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh yeah, this. She's like, I'm sorry, I skipped right over that because you said like you were like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not ignoring you. I was just looking through my list of like questions, and she's like, and I skipped over it. I'm like, huh, that's great. And then she's like, and then she had a picture of because like my wife, being the ever diligent person that you are, stalked her on Facebook for a moment.
I did.
Because she has a professional page.
Yes.
And she
you said you liked her, and I'm like, yeah, but I want to look into her now.
Yeah, and you were like, oh, she has a dog. And I'm like, oh, do you ever bring your dog to the office? She goes, yeah, I just not when we meet new clients because you never really know. And I'm like, oh, so I have a chance to meet an office dog. I'm like, done. Like I like in my hometown.
He came back. He came back to the cottage. He's like, we're going with Melissa. She has a dog, and she minored in like Japanese literature or something like that.
Japanese, yeah.
And so he's like, this is who we're going with. I love her, and I'm like, okay. And honestly, it was your ringing endorsement because I had like two other potential realtors, but you felt very strongly with Melissa, and the two of you really clicked. And honestly, like, yeah, and like my friend who had recommended her was also a first-time home buyer, so that was reassuring to me as well, just to have like a personal endorsement of someone who was in a scenario that was
similar to ours.
So similar to ours.
Yeah. So after that, the home buying process began.
In earnest.
We would look at like 4 houses every week.
Yeah, if not more. Like we'd look at like 4 in a day, and then 3 days later, here's another 2. Like as we had time.
Mm-hmm.
Because your schedule was you would start working in the early afternoon,
mm-hmm.
and my schedule's pretty flexible. That as long as I get my hours in and I don't miss like crazy data calls, like I'm largely allowed to do what I want. I'm very, very fortunate. So I would make up those hours. But yeah, we could be looking at townhomes,
mm-hmm.
and so it's like here's 2, here's 3. Yeah, like I know all the townhome layouts for our town now.
Oh my god,
it's like 3 different layouts, and that's it.
Oh, and because we actually found one the second time out,
mm-hmm.
and I wasn't very committal, and you were like, let's put in an offer because I was like,
I had misinterpreted because I thought you really liked it.
I really did.
Okay.
And it was
you just said non-committal.
Well, I really liked it, but I was non-committal.
Oh,
sorry,
okay.
if that makes sense. Just to elaborate that on that one, because one of the things was do not find a place and fall in love.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was getting frustrated with you. I'm like, stop falling in love. We haven't even put an offer in yet.
We put in an offer, and it got accepted right away.
Yeah, the following day it was accepted.
Yeah,
and we were thrilled.
Yeah,
it was a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath, little townhome. It was 1,200 square feet, or like 1,300 square feet. So it was
Something like that, yeah.
yeah, it was like 2.5 of what we were living in. The kitchen was bigger. There were so many cabinets.
Mm-hmm.
It had granite countertops, which were really nice. A full size refrigerator.
Ice machine.
It had an ice machine.
We
We
would
had
walk
to buy. We would have to buy our own washer and dryer, which was like,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not that bad. It had a small deck. Very, very little lawn care. Like the backyard didn't get a lot of sun. So I'm like, yay, no mowing grass. I wasn't mad about that. It was a lot of like leaf debris from surrounding like mature trees.
Yeah, we had to like, there was some poison ivy we had to kill and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not going down onto that ground because I'm highly sensitive to poison ivy. And like, I'm not going to get close to it.
It was also near a trail.
And it was near a walking trail, which was incredibly convenient. The commute would be damn near identical to me for work. You would have been a little bit closer to your job. So we're like, let's make an offer. Because out of at that point, we had seen like six or seven places. Yeah. And we're like, we like this one. We hadn't put an offer in on anything else. And our offer was accepted. And we're like, okay, time to start the everything else process.
Yeah. I just remember the last name because I couldn't think of it all day.
No, it's okay.
We're not naming names, but
yeah. That property during the home inspection had a crack in the foundation.
The fridge actually didn't work.
The fridge didn't work.
The deck
was not built properly. Mm-hmm. Like I wouldn't put more than like 4. Like I wouldn't put 4 grown adults out on that back deck.
Yeah, 2 of you jumped.
It was really, really old, and again, it wasn't built properly. It's like it needed to be replaced. And the AC unit was 19 years old.
Yeah.
And AC units are really only rated for like 12, maybe 15 years. So the fact that it was like that freaking old, and it was still working, but I'm like, you're on your last leg. You are past the end of your life cycle. It is miraculous that you are still functioning. And like the water heater was still decent.
Yeah.
And the roof was decent. Like they weren't immediate problems, near horizon problems. Near horizon to me is like within 5 years.
Yeah. And like and honestly, like in the beginning we talked them down and we were like, we'll still buy the place. And it just they became so unreasonable to work with when we were like, hey, can you fix the foundation? Like the fridge like this, like we can buy something that we really want for this.
Mm-hmm.
Please fix the foundation.
Yeah, and their response was like to offer a credit towards closing costs. And while that was also the siding was
masonite.
The siding was masonite, and masonite is kind of like a
treated cardboard,
like treated drywall, honestly. And as long as it's sealed, it's fine. But if there are any holes or cracks because you're like, oh no, I want to run the wire this way, and now you have a hole and it doesn't get patched, like moisture gets in and it expands and contracts over time and just like degrades. It also attracts insects. So you have like insect and moisture problems. And we could see where the masonite had like bubbled and was like very clearly like disintegrating because of moisture over time. So I'm like, we need to get the masonite off. And then the deck's going to need to be replaced, and the AC unit. Oh, and we have to buy a new refrigerator because the refrigerator you have in there doesn't work, and we still have to buy a washer and dryer. Like and so we had like all these things. And
now, mind you,
and the toilet wasn't bolted down.
That's the other thing, the toilet. Now, I guess we should explain, like you and I, because financial independence. One of the key things when we were looking at a place was, if like the worst oh shit thing hit the fan, could we afford it?
Yeah. And the oh shit thing would be like if either of us like lost our jobs.
Yeah.
And what made this house so incredibly attractive was that it would be so stupid affordable.
Yeah. That's not to say a place we have now isn't, but it was very affordable. So I think that was part of the reason you and I were also so gung ho to try to make it work.
Yeah, and we knew the market was insane, and the fact like holy shit, we caught one.
Yeah.
And it didn't get into like a bidding war. We're trying to like be flexible and accommodating and tolerant and considerate. and it finally got to the point where like we debated back and forth, and then finally did it end up accepting their credit towards closing costs, but like flat out said like, hey, look, when it comes time for the appraisal, I don't want to do another round like of like back and forth debating for like business of like who gets the better deal. Like, quit fucking with me. Because I need every penny that I have still I'm holding on to fix this growing laundry list of issues that you don't care. Like you knew about the foundation. And then we decided to move forward with the appraisal. The appraisal came in low. And I know that's not shocking given 2021, but it came in $12,000 under what it was listed as, and we anticipated that it would come in low.
We were hoping for like $5,000 under.
Yeah, just to make life easier, I was like, please don't come in that low. But the townhome layout was weird. Like it's hard for appraisers to find comps, like appropriate comps, like recent ones or anything. And so when the appraisal came in low, because we had warned the sellers, hey, look, I can't play another round of hardball with you. They asked to be released from the deal, and it was heartbreaking because I'm like, great, now I'm back to zero after
almost 3 weeks.
Yeah, and it wasn't the time loss. It was just like, great, now I have to go back out and compete again. And we had already like mentally started moving in, and we're like, we're gonna be able to break our lease, and this is where we're gonna paint the walls, and this is where our furniture is gonna go, and started like looking at washers and dryers, pricing out on a new refrigerator, and it's like, no, starts all over. And yeah, I was just like emotionally shut down for like a day and a half.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking, I guess would be the best way to put it, because it's one thing like, don't fall in love. It's like almost, and after that I became very like anti, don't try on the dress, we can't afford it. Because we looked at one place that would have been perfect for us, and I looked at you and I was like, hey, this price, like we can't, like I like
it would not have allowed us to meet our other financial goals. Like, we could have afforded it. What made it so desirable was that it had a garage, and none of the other properties we looked at had a garage. And I want I want a pottery studio. And I'm like, I can do pottery out here, and it's already great that it has concrete floors and the door, and I can have a kiln here and a potter's wheel, and we can add a deep sink right there. The pipes work. It'll be amazing. But I wouldn't have been able to like buy the things that I needed immediately. It would have been a lot tighter. Like, hey, travel's really important to you. Hey, you're gonna be cutting back on all those lessons, those pottery lessons. We're gonna have to like really strongly reevaluate our like month to month out of pocket expenses if we buy this house. And yeah, you said no, and I flat out looked at you and I'm like, I don't like you right now. And he heard I hate you and I don't want to buy a house with you.
Potato.
Very tense moments.
Yeah. But and then you and I looked at some other places.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Back up for a minute. Like, I did come around even as we were like left that place driving to the next place, which was 10, 12 minutes away, if that. I'm like running the numbers and like begrudgingly I'm like, no, you're 100% right. Like, you don't tell me no very often. And when you do, it's always for a good reason. And I knew that, but it was still like hard to accept because all I want a space too. And your only criteria for home buying was like, I want a second bedroom that I can turn into a podcast studio. And I'm like, that's cool. Here's my list. It's a lot longer and much more comprehensive.
Yeah. And that was even here. Like, I'm very sad that we don't have a space for you to do pottery.
I
know. Like we have one that could work, but it's like well, it's really hot today. It's gonna suck, or it's really cold today. It's
Yeah,
gonna
I
suck.
could have a wheel and bring the wheel outside and work outside.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's that is honestly like a bummer because of how happy pottery makes you.
Mm-hmm.
But we went and we looked at a few other places, and you and I we'd put in bids. And
Yeah, we put in 4 other bids, and we were getting outbid consistently, and some of them were like cash offers.
Mind you, we're also offering 10-15K above asking
Yeah,
price.
we were coming in very strong, but we were getting again like but we'd only do like 10, 12, 15K maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And houses were going like 40, 50K above list price.
Yeah.
And there would be between 6 to 12 offers. And like, come in with your strongest offer. I'm like, why are you even putting that on? She's like, I'm insulted, and now I don't want to fucking do business with you. No shit, come in with like, have you been asleep?
We looked at one place that was like, you have 15 minutes to tour the house and make an offer.
Yeah,
That was like on there. Like there were places that were going like that.
mm-hmm.
And
how am I supposed to evaluate a house in 15 minutes?
Oh my God, yeah. It's like only the most important financial decision that I'm not supposed to make as a millennial.
Oh, there were 2 houses where you had to put on booties, like for your shoes, so you wouldn't scuff the floors.
Oh, I remember. And we did not.
Yeah, no, we didn't. I was like, we looked at Melissa. I'm like, "Are you doing this?" And she's like, "No, it's not that nice." I'm like, "Okay, if Melissa says no, if Mom says no, then I don't have to do it."
We looked at like 6 houses in one community because one of the things for us was like a townhome, because they're historically more affordable.
Yeah, it's a lower threshold to entry.
And so that was what we looked at, because like condos aren't a thing in this area. Or like there's one place of condos and
their HOA fees are insane.
And like they have no light to get in and out of the condo, so like you're royally
traffic light.
Sorry,
they're like, no light. I'm like, there's lights there.
No,
there's
traffic light. Yeah. And then you found a place.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna fast forward a little bit. You found this place that we're currently sitting in.
Yes.
This lovely studio that we happen to live above. Like 5 minutes away from work from me.
Yeah.
If I think I forgot to lock the door, I can turn around, come back, prove I've locked the door, and then drive back to work and not be late.
Yeah.
And you were like, "Hey, I want to put in an offer," and I was at work. And I'm like, "Go for it."
Yeah.
And you're like, "I'd really like to show you the place," and I'm like, "No, I don't want to see it. I trust you." I was so apprehensive about seeing this place. Because you're like, "I like it. I want to put in an offer," and I was like, "If I see it, then it's like I'm the emotional one who has attachment issues."
Yeah, because like by that point, you and I had completely switched roles. Like you were, it was much more taxing for you as we would bid and then get outbid and look at all these places. And for me, I'm like, oh no, now this is a numbers game. I'm fine now. I'm like, you go ahead. I didn't like that house that much anyway, and I was getting picky. Or like there were a couple of townhomes that we looked at that were rentals for a very long time, and you could tell that people would come and like, it's a rental. I'm not going to do my best work. And that shit pisses me off. Like, where is your pride of ownership? Like, that's like my Germanic industrious parentage coming through for my parents, where they're like, no, if you're doing something, you do it right.
Yeah.
And like, why is there a gap in the tile? Like an atrocious, unacceptable gap in the tile.
Oh my God.
I'm obviously still mad about it.
Why is there a hole in the wall and a hole in the door?
Yeah, like this is not okay. This is not sure. Like I know the market's insane and people are doing crazy things with their money right now and insane overbidding, but it needs to look clean. It needs to be clean. There needs to not be holes in the walls. And when this place that we ended up getting was on like the realtor website of like coming soon, so you can kind of like see it in advance. I'm familiar with the community because one of my sister's childhood friends lived there in that community for a couple of years. I'm like, oh yeah, I know where this is. I am familiar. Like I've been in that house, the friend's house, like on the main level once. This could work. And so we requested to see it. You had to work. We went on a Sunday, Melissa and I. It was the first place we looked at. And I was trying, I walked through, and at every spot, I'm trying to use like any other adjective but love, like any other word. I'm like,
oh yeah,
this is beautiful. I like it so much. I really, really like this place.
I'm not saying I'm in lesbians with it,
Oh
but I
my
might be in
God.
lesbians with it.
Yeah, there were just so many moments. Like the deck is new. It came with a washer and dryer, you guys, and it had a full size refrigerator. Didn't have an ice maker, but that's okay. There was a garbage disposal and this beautiful bay window, and it was recently painted. The drywall was in really good condition. Recently recarpeted in a lot of areas, but like it looked taken care of.
Yeah.
Like someone cared. The washer and dryer were newer. The water heater was newer. The AC unit was new, just like by looking at it. The toilets are bolted down. Simple shit.
Yeah.
And it was by far my favorite, like a 3-level townhome. I'm like, I really, really, I want this house.
Mm-hmm.
I want this house.
Oh, we got it.
Yeah. Looked at that one, looked at 2 others, and like these are of no comparison. This is by far the best house that we saw. The only other one of remote comparison was the townhome with the garage.
Yeah.
And so I texted you and was like, "Hey, can you talk? This house, this is the listing again. I want it. I like it a lot. I know we're probably not going to get it, but I really want to put in a strong offer." And we did a escalation clause. So for anyone who doesn't know what an escalation clause is, you're basically saying, "Hey, I'm going to offer you list price, but if anyone else bids, I will outbid them by X dollars of your choosing, up to a certain threshold." And so that's what we did.
Mm-hmm.
Our paperwork was in before noon, and by 7 p.m. we got the text message from Melissa saying that our offer was accepted.
Yeah. And like the person who owned the place was an absolute gem to work with.
Yeah, she had lived in the house since they were constructed. So
Yeah.
the house and I are the same age.
The original owner.
Yeah, the original owner. We're the second owners.
Yeah, and yeah, so then we moved in, and the big thing became, and because it's one of those things like we see, like I'm gonna go back to HGTV of like, well, who are you in the house? Like what colors are you gonna go with? Like, and it was this very very okay. Now we're getting this, and we can actually start looking into it.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was my way, it would be like anime and Gundam everywhere, and you were really
You would
kind.
have nerd things everywhere.
I would, and well, you were very kind because it's no secret I love roosters,
Mm-hmm.
and you were explaining like, hey, people often do like thematic things to tie a house together,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very early on.
Make it look cohesive.
I have a tile that has this gorgeously painted rooster on it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very vibrant. It has like goldenrod and red and
beautiful oranges and blue.
And so you went through and you were like this, and I think you were like colors. I was like, oh, colors, those are cool.
Yeah.
And you and I were playing Ghost of Tsushima, and you said, hey, what if we kind of did like a ginkgo leaf theme,
Mm-hmm.
and that would play well with all the other colors that we're choosing.
Mm-hmm.
And you picked out this stunning, and I literally cannot say that enough. It's not turquoise. What's upstairs?
Teal.
Teal.
It's stunning. What color is it?
It is.
It's a teal.
It is so vibrant, and our living room is so incredibly
blue. It's so teal.
It's very calm, but it's very warm, and
yeah, it's vibrant, but it's not like overly stimulating.
And then we have like a basket chandelier instead of a more traditional one, or we have a ginkgo leaf wall art, and
that came from Overstock. This bamboo chandelier pendant light came from IKEA.
Yeah, but we yeah, it was a big thing for you because you grew up in a military family, white, transiency, and you're like, I want color.
You said that also fast and muttered. I'm not sure if it's going to pick up.
You military family, white transiency, and you were I want color.
Yes, white walls meant that I didn't actually live there, because if I lived there, I would have painted them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very it's very like I want a space to express myself. It was important for me to like I want things that I chose and weren't just given to me or hand me downs or hey, have this until you can afford the thing that you want. I'm like, I want the fucking thing that I want. And I will spend extra to get the thing that I want. Yeah, and that was really important. And the fact that you were like you and I negotiated because like I started like more extreme with the colors and the patterns, and you're like, this hurts my head, and I don't want like I'm stressed just looking at this. So I toned it down, changed things up a little bit, but it was agreeable to both of us. And I wanted to design a space that I didn't want to run away from because in the cottage, aside from it being so small, it was the hand-me-downs. It was stuff that we'd had since college or when we first got married. And it was just like white walls. And now we live in a place that's like almost 4 times what we were, square footage of what we were living in.
Still incredibly affordable.
And it's still affordable for us, and it's ours. And like we've lived here for like almost a month now, and I'm still like walking in like I love this house. I love this house so much.
It's and then when I was like, hey, because you actually when we came downstairs, you're like, this is for you.
The basement is yours. This is your space.
That was incredibly touching. Like, because when I was like, I want to do the channel stuff, I want to be able to stream, I want to make this successful. And then upstairs, you were like, I want an office.
Yeah, on the second floor.
Yeah,
is our master bedroom and the office.
And
my office.
Yeah, and you were like, I want it to be green, and that was I think that was one of the best parts for both of us. Was like, well, if this room is yours, how do you want it? And I was like, well, I want purple because wrong buttons, like crazy 80s vibe. And you love emerald jewel tones.
Yeah, I want jewel tones, and the color that I ended up choosing was called Daring Jade, and it's really intense, and I love it.
It is, yeah. And you and I got very lucky. We had friends that were very kind. Your parents helped us move. We don't have a lot of stuff, guys. Like,
yeah, it was like a 10-foot U-Haul. We made 2 trips, in addition to like the trips that we've been making on stuffing things in our cars.
And then we had 2 friends who were the same friends who like lent us the PlayStation. We were doing like older games. Who came up to help us paint and took like an entire weekend to just come up and like help us paint and organize.
Yeah,
and put together IKEA.
Yeah, I'm like, do you know how to assemble IKEA furniture? Because I don't go to IKEA's ever if I can avoid it. I only order online, and I've never actually had to put together any of their furniture.
Yeah.
And one of them was like, I have much experience. I will help.
It was, yeah. We ended up having like great dinner, and I think the big thing is like a space to grow. You did one of your things was like designing a life you love, and we got a place that was because one of the keys like looking at a townhome was like if you and I wanted to take a week and go somewhere like Japan or England, we would have a place that wouldn't be like, oh, it's overrun and just, like the walls are falling down, and I don't know.
What were you envisioning?
I'm envisioning
house
like,
parties.
Oh no, I was actually like envisioning like we were gone for a week and we came back to the Haunting of Hill House, like just like the weeds and everyting else like coming up, like all of a sudden, like 10 years has gone by. The cats are zombies for whatever reason.
Food rotator didn't go off.
And yeah, that's been really cool because like when designing a space that you love, like I've streamed down here now when you've gone to bed. The first recording session Nick and I did, because Nick has actually seen the house, but Nick has not seen Nicole in the house.
Yeah, I was asleep. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to bed.
We recorded at about midnight to about 1:30. And he was like, oh, can I see the house? I was like, yeah. So I go upstairs. I'm like 1 second. So I tiptoe upstairs. I close the bedroom door to you. I'm like, that's the master bedroom. And I've got my like light out, and I'm like showing like this
on
is
your
Nicole.
Phone.
Yeah,
this
like
is Nicole's office.
This is Nicole's office before it was like put together or like usable, I guess, because it was still being painted.
Yeah.
And then we came down here, and I was talking at one point. I'm like, yeah, I can say whatever the hell I want down here. We can do whatever. Blah, blah. And I said something to the lines of like, I was like, Nicole's not even gonna know you were here. He's like, do you have to like ask your wife for permission or something? Like, I'm like, hold on 1 second, and I'm like staring at my phone. He goes, why? I'm like, this is gonna be the one time Nicole's like, why are you being so loud? I can hear you all the way up here. We have 3 floors. You didn't text. You didn't
No,
bang
I
on the
was-
walls.
I was asleep. I didn't
You
hear
were
anything.
asleep. You had no idea, and it was just, to me, it was this like really great moment of no,
You're like, ha.
we found a space that it like if you even when you were upstairs before your office put together and you were working from the dining room table again, I could stand here and make noise, and you largely didn't know. Like, not that I was doing anything wrong, guys. Like, I was just like playing games or playing music.
Yeah.
And that's
As long as you're not like blasting crazy high volume, I can't really hear you. And so we both have sound space to do what makes us happy, or do whatever we need to do. And we have the physical space, and it's ours, so we can design it however we want. And yeah, like when before we'd even like officially bought the house, but you'd seen it after our offer was accepted. Like, this house is going to change us as people, and it's space to grow into, precisely because it's so big and what it'll afford us to be able to do. Like, we're going to handle things differently because we have space, like between arguments and celebrations, and just like flexing our creativity as we grow into this space. Like, we're going to be different people afterwards, and I can't wait to see who we become.
Yeah, that's very well spoken.
Thank
you. I am very excited. I want to say the last thing I would leave on was when we were looking. I was like we're like, every time we'd come back from looking for places, we're still in the cottage, we'd look at the cats, we're looking for a bigger space for a better life for you guys.
Yeah. Bigger space for the cats. Now they have giant cat trees. There's a cat tree on every level.
There is. We got the one out of the bedroom.
Yeah.
But yeah,
there's so much space for everything and for us to grow into, and we've been very thoughtful in how we want to function in the space, how we want the space to be set up to meet our needs. We're not like going on crazy buying sprees. Even the stuff that we were buying, like to go from 550 square feet to almost 2,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Like, we need some more furniture. I've never had an office before, guys. Like, we both need desks.
Yeah. Like downstairs, like I was like, I need at least an entertainment center to like put something on. That way the TV's
just not on the ground.
Yeah, you were very kind and came down here after Nick and I did our first recording session. You were like, just go out and buy a bigger TV. Like, that's not
okay. So the TV that we had was like the one from like shortly after we'd gotten married, like 28 inches in diameter, maybe. I was a stickler about large TVs for some reason, and it was a comically small television to see again on the entertainment center down here. And so, like, please go get a bigger TV. Like, this is not okay. This is comically bad. Please go get a larger television.
Yeah. And it's
and you have a window down here and a sliding glass door, so you're still getting a lot of light. The built-ins are down here with all of our wonderful books.
Nick's Mrs. Play, because that's a fun thing to always say. His Mrs. Play got us both recording lights to like hang up, and that was one of the few things I was like super excited about. Like
this is my space,
and if you have to like look forward to something, I'm a very big creature of the small little thing. Like, the silly thing is often going to make me the happiest. Being able to hang up that thing and plug it in. All it says is recording, and it glows red, and it's got a microphone on it. And I'm like, guess what we're doing right now?
We're recording.
And I have another one that someone else had got me that looks more like the old school, like on air.
Yeah, like an Art Deco vibe.
And do you have a favorite like little thing that you've looked forward to here?
A favorite little thing. I have loved having my desk. Once that got assembled, and like this is my space. So to me, that wasn't like a little thing; it was a big thing. Having my desk. Now that I have that, I'm like, this is mine, and this is my office.
It can be used.
Yeah, I can use that space because while I was waiting for a desk to arrive, I'm still working from the dining room table. Like, bought a fucking house, still working from the goddamn dining room table, even though I have an office. I was so mad. And I think our first weekend in the house, I guess it was our second weekend in the house. The first weekend we moved in, but our second weekend in the house, and you're like, hey, if you want to get out of the house and go to the farmer's market or something, like, I laughed at you, and I'm like, I love this house. Like, I'm not leaving. I'm gonna lay on the living room floor and do nothing, and just like appreciate that this is mine and I live here.
Yeah.
And I did.
Oh yeah. I went upstairs. Like, I would say the one thing I would have us do is, you and I, when we moved in, we got the house set,
Yeah, we
painted,
and unboxed everything and were assembling things, and then, but like, really the painting was a lot, and then still cleaning out the cottage and getting that wrapped up because we moved in over 4th of July weekend, like in earnest. We closed on June 29th, so from the 29th through July 2nd, it was like, okay, hey, you don't have to go in to work until later. Hey, I'm off. I can bring some boxes and stuff over. To like the big push on July 2nd. And then, like, hey, since we have this extra help, let's unbox things. Let's clean stuff up. Let's get rid of those boxes.
Switch out lights.
Let's paint.
Yeah.
I
think that's the only thing, like,
it was intense, but it was like, hey, we have the bodies to throw at the problem. People came up to help. I want to put you to work.
Yeah, we want to be done.
Yeah,
we are, and I gotta say, that's like, we're the only thing. Nick and I have to move the couch from upstairs to downstairs because we got a sectional, because
we have space for a sectional.
What that Mrs. Play likes to like lay on me at night when I want to like sit and relax, and I was like, okay, I want a sectional so that way I can put my feet up but not lose circulation in my feet because I have bad circulation there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you found an incredible home.
Thank you.
As I have said many a time, and then I love this house too, like, because we say that a lot. What we'll leave it out on is, one of the other fun things is, like, if Mrs. Play's upstairs and I'm downstairs, we actually have to text each other.
Where are you? I have a question.
Yeah, like, hey, do you have the password for this? Yeah, hang on, let me just text it back up to you.
Yeah, like, I have a question about business things.
And
so I'll text you, and that's. I know, it was such a weird thought. And then I texted you, but you were doing things. You didn't look at your phone, so then I just called you because I was upstairs from my office. I'm like, I need you to answer this question.
Oh, and you also were very kind, and like, I now have like an editing bay. I've never had that, so that makes working on the channel easier. But yeah, yeah. So if you guys have one, like I said, shout out to Melissa and Nest Realty. She was the consummate nurturing professional. Like, I cannot sing her praises from the highest mountaintop loud enough.
She let us talk amongst ourselves, but if we ever needed anything, she was always prompt, always good thoughts, always followed up with other people who were supposed to give us information and didn't.
She was,
I enjoyed her immensely and loved working with her.
It's kind of sad that we don't get to do that anymore.
It is kind of sad.
Like,
it's one of those relationships that's supposed to come to an end.
Yeah, it's like, we can look at houses next weekend just for shits and giggles.
No. Like, I'll still go on Zillow every now and again for our area, and I'm like, no, like, our house is the best house.
Oh yeah, no, we got it at list price, man.
Yeah, we looked into this house.
But yeah, I guess the keynote is, if you have a space to grow into and can find a space to grow into, it's great. Design a life that you love and don't want to run away from, because that's
you only
also
have one life.
Yeah, YOLO. Yeah, but yeah, you guys can find this podcast. Like I said, we're gonna be an Apple Podcast, probably a 3 podcast kind of month. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are getting back into using all of those more frequently. And remember that you're all winners out there, and keep it weird. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, guys. Chat with you later.